our first meeting officially to order. We've got some great things to talk about today and appreciate everybody being here in person. And we'll talk a little bit about kind of the commission today, get your ideas about what we can do, how the commission will work, and figure out how we're going to work together towards this great goal. So first of all, Elaine Linhart is our assistant that will help coordinate us through the process of scheduling these meetings, and you'll get to know her name along the way too. So if you'll start with our roll call.
Travis Beeson.
Here.
Christina Berner.
Here.
Kathy Boozman. Debbie Hake. Dale James.
Here.
Sherry Jones.
Here.
Valerie Lawson.
Here.
Richard McCormick.
Here.
Tanya Mims.
Here.
Ebony Mitchell.
Here.
Marty Ryle.
Here.
Ken Warden. David Ware. Jan Zimmerman.
Here.
Shay Lewis.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I'll start off with just a few words just about our group here and what's taking place. And then we'll jump into some kind of go around and just do some introductions so we can all get to know each other. I know as everybody was coming in, we're building new friendships and reacquainting as well, so we're excited. But first and foremost, the first thing I would like to say is welcome and thank you. Appreciate your willingness to serve on this commission, and on behalf of Governor Sanders, we give you a warm welcome and a sign of appreciation for your willingness to serve the state of Arkansas in this way and our country as we celebrate America's 250. Believe it or not, we're only 2 short years away from that. It's hard to imagine that we're facing August next week. In my calendar, it just seems like this year is zipping by. I know that the next 2 years, especially with us working together on some great things across the state, will go by quickly for us. But it's a great opportunity for us. I feel that us working together with the Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism specifically is a great opportunity for alignment in celebrating Arkansas's heritage along with our country. So look forward to serving as your commission chair alongside you and helping guide this process. But as we go through this process, we want you to be engaged and a key part of this. As commissioners, I ask for your honest input and all your great ideas as we work together as a team to make this event successful. This gathering is a unique opportunity for us to come together for a specific purpose, and I think we've got to define our purpose just a little bit today and kind of fine-tune what it is specifically that we hope to accomplish. I know that Governor Sanders is trusting us to do some great things, and many of folks across the great state of Arkansas are looking at the work that will be taking place. Just for your awareness, this meeting is live streamed on Arkansas PBS, and part of that, we'll talk a little bit about some of the public meeting aspects of being on this commission a little bit later as well today. We'll hear some updates from Dr. David Ware, who recently attended a conference on our behalf in Washington, D.C. about America 250 and some things that are taking place on the national level that'll give us some perspective out there as well. One thing that I'll say specifically is that when I think about celebrations that our country has been through at different times and opportunities that we have seen even here in Arkansas, or you think about the bicentennial back in, I nearly said 1776, but 1976, there's commemorative aspects that still people remember today from those events. And so some of the things that we will be doing will have those effects that impact Arkansans' lives for many years to come. And so your perspectives are important here as you bring all of your ideas to the table, and will help drive our success towards that specifically. So over the next few days, weeks, months, years, we will be kind of looking at events, activities, initiatives, educational opportunities that we can collaborate on. And so a key part of this commission is the roles that you play in your communities and having those connections across our state. And thank you for those that drove in long distances today to be here as well. But those connections to your communities across our state are really important. So we have connections to those communities and communication with the communities for whatever initiatives that we come forward with today. So we're excited about this. We'll see how it all comes together, but your input is valuable and appreciate you being here today. So I'll start us off, and then we'll just kind of go around the table, give a brief introduction about who you are, your interest in this, and connections to it. But my name is Shay Lewis. I'm the Secretary of the Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. I work directly for Governor Sanders in this role, and excited to serve our department and state in that form, but also in this form as well, alongside you. I also serve the role as Director of Arkansas State Parks, so there's some opportunities for us there as well to partner in the future. And I really feel like a key part of this commission is alignment with the Department of Arkansas Heritage, or the Division of Arkansas Heritage, and the opportunities for collaboration there, and especially here in our capital city as well. So with that said, I'll pass it over to Ms. Zimmerman.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's nice to be here and see lots of old friends as well as making new friends. My involvement and being appointed by Governor Sanders is I've worked closely for the Arkansas Governor's Mansion, too many years to count. And I've raised a lot of the private funds there at the mansion and overseeing a lot of the events there, as well as serving on the Independent Citizens Commission for the state of Arkansas. So I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you in these different roles and capacities. And I think that this is an opportunity to showcase Arkansas to the rest of the United States and just what we have. I like to boast about our state often when speaking about our state and letting everybody know that we're the #1 still producing state now. We've overtaken Pennsylvania, and so we have a lot of things here to boast about in our state. So thank you all for serving. I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
I'm Marty Ryle. I'm the Director of the Division of Heritage and Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. And of course, as a part of the Division of Heritage, we help promote the history and culture of the state of Arkansas. We have 4 museums, and a 5th is a historic site, Jacob Wolf House, but we have some of the structures on our properties and museums that are some of the oldest in the state, and some of the earliest government buildings, even the Jacob Wolf House and the courthouse there in Norfolk. So I'm very excited to be a part of this and to work with each and every one of you, and whatever resources we have that we can share to contribute to the greater good. We look forward to doing that.
Tammy Mims, and I'm the Fayetteville Community President of First Social Naples in NWA, and looking forward to helping coordinate and create some really fun activities and festivities and parties to commemorate this and get to know you all.
I'm Dale James. I'm the Van Buren County Judge. I'm the designee for the Association of Arkansas Counties, chosen among all the elected officials in Arkansas at the county level. I'm extremely honored to be on this commission. One of my first memories was the bicentennial. I was 6 years old, and I remember the commercials. I remember everything wrapped around it. I remember the bicentennial ice cream. If you open up a box of ice cream in Neapolitan that has the 3 flavors, well, these were red, white, and blue, and the blue had, I think it was blue vanilla. It had marshmallow stars in that size. But I never, I feel like I was born at the perfect time, because in those formative years, America was wrapped around patriotism, coming out of the Vietnam War, and then right into the bicentennial. And I just hope that we can bring some more of that patriotism and love of our nation, especially love of our state. Back to our people.
I'm David Ware. I'm the state historian. I'm not from here. What doesn't work there? I'm a native of Washington, D.C., but I grew up in Nebraska and Wyoming, and somehow got lucky enough to end up here about 24 years ago. Like most historians, my wife got the job, I was the one who packed and followed her. It's worked out. As state historian, I'm director of the state archives. I'm the person who has the responsibility of grabbing the constitutions out of the vault in case of disaster in the building and getting out of the building with them. That is a high honor and responsibility, especially since our constitution is such a long one. The state archives is not a records management agency. We're more of a hybrid special collection manuscript repository with some state records, including the 5 original constitutions and the Quapaw Treaty of 1824. Our job has been over more than a century to preserve records, to make them available, and to interpret them to the people of Arkansas so they actually have an appreciation of the things that shaped Arkansas, where the state came from, and what an amazing place it is. And so I'm tickled to be in this group.
I'm Valerie Lawson, and it is an amazing state. I was born in Arkansas, and except for about 8 years after college, we've lived in Arkansas. And Bentonville, my husband and I started our business, and we're just excited for what it will bring to this state. Our area is really busy, really a lot happening in Bentonville, but like the county judge told me when I talked to him, he said, just bring some focus on us for this. So I'm ready.
I'm Sherry Jones. I'm from Humble, which Humble populated the state of Arkansas. Governor Huckabee lived there as a young girl, and Dale, I have to confess, I was 12 with the bicentennial, and I remember the Freedom Train coming through Pine Bluff. We all got to board it. We all got to experience it, and it was I had just started public school too, so I was learning quite a bit that year. So I'm not going to give up my whole age, but you can figure that out. Anyway, I'm honored to be sitting with you all. I'm honored to have been selected. My husband Bill said she knows he can throw a party. That's why you got picked. So I look forward to us all working together and thrilled to be here.
Well, oh yes, sir.
I'm Elaine Linhart. I'll be the pest of this commission. I'm the executive assistant to Shane and support him in any way he needs.
Excuse me, I'm Clay Stone. I'm the general counsel for the Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. I think today is my 5th month on the job, but it's just a great job, and I couldn't be happier to be anywhere but here. I'm here today just when we get to it to give a brief overview of the Freedom of Information Act, which will cover these meetings that you all will have over the next couple of years.
My name is Richard McCormick. I'm mayor of Clinton, Arkansas, Van Buren County. So I've got 2 people from Van Buren County. They're representing the municipal league. Mark Hayes put me on this job. Grew up in Clinton, lived there most of my life, lived in Little Rock about 10 years. And yeah, 76, it didn't seem that long ago. Yeah, I remember the bicentennial stuff. And then here we are 50 years later. But like she said, if you know how to throw a party and whatever we put together for the governor, we can make Arkansas look good. I'm excited about that, and excited to meet new folks and work with them. So,
Christina Berner from Jonesboro. So I guess I'm representing Northeast Arkansas. I'm excited to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Ebony Mitchell. I work for the Arkansas Food Bank. I'm the Director of External Affairs, I work in nonprofit. I grew up in Harrison, Arkansas, but I'm based in Little Rock, Arkansas now. I served as Miss Arkansas in 2022, so I've been around the state at least 3 times, driven a little over 55,000 miles. I worked with the Sanders administration, a little bit with Asa Hutchinson's administration on some cool things with online security, so happy to be here. I wasn't alive for the other thing that we're talking about. The other parts, my person and my quincentennials.
Okay, I'm Travis Beeson. I grew up in Chittister, Arkansas. I think that's like 238 last census. I retired from the state of Arkansas, also retired from the state, from Army Reserve. My big thing here, my big interest on this, I spent 2 years advising the Iraqi government, which is Stalinist, and trying to convert it into what we take for granted of capitalism. And I just want us to get people to value what they have here. Because it was so hard trying to engender women's rights, women voting, women's ability to have a job. So that's kind of my target here, and I don't know how we can get there from here.
Good reminder too. So.
Well, thank you. I think we've got a great team. I know Debbie Hake was not able to join us today. She'll join us hopefully in the future. She's from the Texarkana area. And Elaine, who else are we missing?
Kathy Boozman.
Kathy Bozeman.
Bozeman, sorry.
Exactly.
Ken
So-
Warden. Ken
That's
Warden.
That's right, that's right. So, but I think that gives us, just with the size of this commission, it'll give us enough to make sure that we have a quorum on a regular basis too, as we kind of continue to move things forward. But I do have to say, I was 2 years old during the last bicentennial, but I still have I don't have any ice cream left in my fridge. I wish I did. That would be kind of neat. But I have a canceled postage stamp from that time period on an envelope that was canceled on the 4th of July, as well as a $2 bill that was a bicentennial $2 bill as well. That I like to hold on to things like that as well, and kind of those memories of that part. But it was an important time for our country, and I think this is going to be that part of it. So one thing that we're all have to learn together is that the phrase that we're bicentennials, a little easier to remember. David, help me out.
Semi-sesquicentennial.
Semi-sesquicentennial is what we'll have to kind of get a little more used to saying on a regular
There's
basis.
a reason they say America 250.
Sesquicentennial. So we'll all get a little bit more practice with that, and I think there's probably an opportunity for that and that too. So, all right. So we'll just kind of continue down our agenda here and get to some of our discussion. So first, we have an agenda that's been presented for us today. I would ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. So thank you for that. So we'll continue to our next item, item number 5, review of the executive order. I thought it might be just a good thing to do, just for us to kind of take a reminder, look at the executive order itself. Elaine's given us a paper copy here. Just if you want to take a moment, just kind of look through this, read through it. I saw several of you doing that when you first sat down as well. If there's anything specific that anybody would like to point out, or anything that you think we should highlight as key direction in here, we're certainly open it up to discussion. So, Judge.
I have one small question. If we read this, it reads semiquincentennial. Is it semiquincentennial or is it semi-sesquicentennial?
So, okay, it should be
Quincentennial.
Semi-sesquicentennial.
is it semi-sesquicentennial?
Semi-sesquicentennial.
Okay, well, we can get.
This is not the only proclamation that has glitches like this.
Okay.
I was custodian of proclamations in the Secretary of State's office for 19 years, and boy, are there howlers. This is mine.
Okay, well, we can try to correct that and make sure. Good point, though. Good
I
point.
just wanted to call it out of the name.
That's right, we want to use it correctly, for sure.
Every state doing a commission.
Every state sure has, sure has. And David is going to give us an update on that and kind of some of the things that other states are doing with theirs. Some are a little bit more ahead of us, and some are just kind of in the formative stages as well, too. So that's right. Anything else stand out, or Any other key points anybody wants to make to it?
No, I'm having a hard time getting through this thinking about that ice cream.
Needs to be dealt with right away.
Get that in date.
We don't have a darn
Darn it.
representative on
I know.
the commission.
It's our last.
Saw her last night.
I know, yeah.
Mhm.
I was just looking to see if there's any keywords that might help guide us, or, it says, under number 1, the 250 Commission is hereby established for the purpose of planning and coordinating events in celebration of America's semi-sesquicentennial, we'll say.
It's pretty broad, so it leaves us open to a lot of avenues we could explore.
That is cool, that too, so, well, very good. Well, if there's not any further thoughts on that or any questions, we'll move on to some of our business discussion. I think when we were kind of forming the agenda here and just talking about the business of the commission itself, just some aspects of how we have to function within an executive order and the role that we play as a public meeting in state government. And so one of the first things that we'll talk about and we'll let Clay cover is specific to Freedom of Information Act.
Thank you, Shay. Obviously, Judge James and Mayor McCormick are familiar with the Freedom of Information Act.
What?
But for those who are not, I'm just going to give a very high-level, brief overview of it. I used to, when I was in private practice for a while, we represented the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. And so when I was getting ready to prepare this, I found a case from 2007 where we, on behalf of the Gazette, had sued Pulaski County over an FOI 8 issue. And now that I'm in state government, it's easier being on the side of the person requesting information than it is on the side of the person responding. So that has been one transition. But there's really two aspects of the Freedom of Information Act. One is public records that the citizens of the state of Arkansas are entitled to inspect and copy. And the other component is open meetings like we're doing here today. So for you all, in terms of public records, I wanted to talk about a couple of things, and they kind of overlap, because when the Freedom of Information Act was enacted, I think in 1967, there was no texting, there were no emails. I don't even know if there were really fax machines back then. Everything was on paper. And so, you know, that the broad purpose of that was in some ways easy, because you could just go to a county office and say, I'd like a copy of the agenda from last month's quorum court meeting, and somebody will go and bring a copy. Today it's a lot different because the Freedom of Information Act covers a whole host of things that it did not probably cover in 1967. So in terms of what is a public record, it's pretty much anything that this commission does that's recorded, whether it's the filming of the meeting, whether it's the agenda. There's some, later on, we talk about bylaws. Those are all public records, and the public is entitled to copies of them.
We have audio recordings as well.
Right.
Those audio.
And so that is a document for purposes of the Freedom of Information Act. So I'll talk about emails and meetings because they kind of overlap. An open meeting, the open meeting requirement is basically that any business of the commission is supposed to be open to the public. And a quorum for purposes of FOI is not the same thing as a quorum for purposes of the commission. A quorum of the commission is anytime there's at least 2 or 3 members discussing business. So if there are 2 or 3 members, there are 2 or 3 city council members or justices of the peace that are talking about county or city business, that's technically a meeting. And those discussions could violate the FOI if there's not been notice of the meeting and the ability for people to attend. So how that relates to emails and texts is if you're discussing commission business with other commissioners via text or email, that could be deemed an open meeting, and that could be deemed to violate the Freedom of Information Act. So basically, try the best you can. I know a lot of you know each other, to not discuss the business of the commission outside of the meetings. Now, the reason I pulled this case from 2007 is it says in interpreting the Freedom of Information Act, a common sense approach must be taken. What that means is if Jan texts Sherry saying, "What time's the meeting tomorrow?" That's not, even though it's talking about the commission, it's not the business of the commission. But if, as you all discuss things, if there's a discussion about whether to have, fireworks displays in Fayetteville on the 4th, and you're asking each other, do you support that or are you opposed to that, that kind of communication would constitute a meeting and would also be a record for purposes of the FOI.
So if Mayor McCormick wants to ride to the meeting with Judge James, that's perfectly fine. Yes. But you would ask them not to get into detailed discussions on the ride here.
Correct.
Related to what the meeting agenda is or how you're going to vote or anything like that in that discussion.
That's correct.
Those sorts of things. So.
And there are exceptions that I'm not going to get into. If you're curious, this is
some weekend radio
a book on the Arkansas Freedom of Information. And you may have a copy of this in your office, and you may have a copy of this in your office.
The abridged version.
But if there are any questions, feel free to ask me or email me or let me know. But that's just sort of it. Basically, the gist of it is everything that you all will be doing will be public, and as it should be, the people are entitled to know what this commission is doing.
And at any given point in time, a newspaper or a television station may request records of that. They may request like all text messages between me and you, or all text messages amongst any of the commissioners or anything like that. And we'll have to collect those. Clay usually coordinates those efforts, and he takes screen captures of your text and things like that.
And
so
I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to mention that. If you happen to have somebody say, I want all of your communications regarding the Arkansas 250 Commission, just forward that on probably Touche, because I'm not going to be at every meeting, and then we can coordinate with that.
Sure.
And maybe even the AG's office can help us coordinate with that as well.
That's right. So, I think, for us, especially that are more familiar with this within state government, it's just that we have to be mindful about that and just making sure that as much business as that making sure the business that we take care of takes place here amongst the group in the public forum is the best thing for us to do that. The good news I feel like about this commission specifically is that we're going to have a positive impact, and some great things are going to come from this. But still, the general public may have interest in details about our discussions or how they relate to specific communities or anything like that. And so we want to be open and transparent and share our work.
A good rule of thumb is don't text or email anything that you don't mind seeing in the paper.
I know that well.
Another, if you don't mind.
No, please.
Social media falls under the same guidelines.
Mhm.
If we post it, we can be for it. So.
That's right, or messaging on social media platforms too, back and forth. It's all communication that can be related to that as well. So, all right, any questions or? Okay, so for the purpose of this meeting too, we have to maintain a quorum, and I'll let Clay discuss that as well. So we just know what we have to be able to successfully move forward with business.
So generally speaking, I think there are 15 commission members, so a quorum would be 8. So as long as there are 8 people, commissioners present, then there is a quorum in the meeting to go forward.
Okay, gotcha. So we just kind of have to keep that in mind too, and as we move forward with meetings, especially when we get to decision-making points or spending money or things like that, making sure we have that quorum to be able to move forward in those aspects as well. So another aspect of business is the creation of bylaws. Most of our commissions have a set of bylaws that kind of govern the business of the commission, and Clay's going to cover that as well.
Sure. So, I mean, very similar to corporate bylaws. The commission bylaws will set out, obviously, what a quorum is, voting, officers. You know, there may be a secretary, treasurer for the commission, and this is really for you all to decide kind of how you want to do it. It will define, you know, meetings, when meetings can be called, how they can be called for a special meeting. Those types of typical things you would see in a corporate bylaw would be similar to what you all would potentially adopt for your bylaws.
So our goal would be for me to work with Clay, and at our next meeting, have a draft version for this committee or commission to look at. We could forward them out ahead of time, you get a chance to review, and then that way we could come back at our next meeting and officially adopt any bylaws. I think for the purpose of this meeting today, if there's anything that comes to mind immediately that any of you would like to see in the bylaws, be certainly glad to have a discussion right now if anything comes to mind there. Are there any other aspects of bylaws, Clay, that are often?
Typically, what you see is rather than have every possible scenario detailed in a bylaw, you just adopt the Robert's Rules of Order, which will handle things like proxies. I mean, all kinds of issues that would come up, and that would kind of be your governing guide is the Robert's Rules of Order typically.
Anybody have any initial thoughts on that, or we can come back with something that gives us a discussion point for those topics? Any further thoughts on those?
Would it be helpful for us to obtain the little hand copy of the FOIA regulations and rules?
Sure, I can have Elaine
I think that would be really helpful.
sort of send out a
Everybody
PowerPoint.
that's really not that familiar with what FOIA actually covers and means to the citizens of our state, that we're all educated and read through.
You know, the Attorney General's office has a little
Yes,
condensed
that's it.
template.
I can get those
Little
as well.
pocket copy
Yeah.
for us all to read and have together.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a handy tool.
Mhm.
And so as we're kind of working on bylaws, again, I think our goal is, we know that there is a kind of a window of opportunity for this commission, is, you know, not to create a whole lot of bureaucracy, so to speak, or layers of things that we have to do, try to keep it as simple and smooth operating as possible, but still give us the flexibility to handle business, especially as we determine what specifically it is that we're going to do. It may be one of these things where we're kind of working along and something comes forward, or we receive a grant for something, and then we realize that maybe our bylaws don't quite meet something, and we can make adjustments along the way, but at least give us a starting point on that specifically. So another part of commission business is often committees or subcommittees that take place as well. I don't know, again, of any just offhand that I think we're going to initially need, but I could see the possibility of some of those forming out there. Clay, do you have any thoughts on committees? Or?
No, again, the bylaws will specify that there can be committees formed for certain purposes, and then that would just be something that the commission would vote on and agree on, and who would serve on the subcommittee, and what the purpose of the subcommittee is. Depending on the type of subcommittee, even that could be subject to FOI, but that's really down in the weeds, but all that can be covered in the bylaws.
So if we had a fundraising subcommittee or a finance committee or something like that, they would work independently from the rest of the commission, bring back recommendations to the full commission. for action is kind of the role that the committees often play. So it's kind of like a specified task force that are working on a specific topic or identified need, and then bring that recommendation back to the full commission for approval or for discussion. All right, so I think those are kind of the main parts of the business of the commission too. I'll say that we've done a little bit of research because of the American 250 process that is going on kind of at the federal level. They have said that we are eligible for startup funds of $10,000. So we know immediately that there are some funds that are going to be available to us for use and for this commission to determine how to spend some seed money to get us started, which is great news that come from federal appropriation. We will work through the process on that. Marty, what else did the process require for receiving those funds?
You have to provide your tax ID or tax status of the organization that's going to receive the funds. There were 3 requirements there, but I don't know if you want to get into the funds.
If you want to bring it, yeah, sure.
So one thing we talked about, at Heritage, we have what's called the Arkansas Heritage Foundation, which is a 501c3 tax-free operation. It's totally separate from, the purpose is to support the things that are done at Heritage that promotes Arkansas heritage, but it's separate from the state government functions, if that makes sense. But it is an organization that will qualify to receive these funds. To give you an example, you've probably heard that Arkansas is changing out its 2 statues in Statuary Hall. Johnny Cash and Daisy Bates are the 2 new statues that are going to Statuary Hall. And with that operation, the Heritage Foundation was used to raise money. So each of those statues cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $450,000, I think, and for the artists and all those kind of things. But the money would come into the foundation. It's designated specifically for that. So the way this would work is you could use the Heritage Foundation. Money would come in. The only thing that's taken out, if somebody gives on a credit card and there's a credit card fee, that's the only, there's no administrative cost. It's only the actual financial cost of that transaction is the only thing that's taken out of that. And then, of course, this committee would designate how those funds are spent. But it is something we talked about. If we wanted to have a venue to raise money and to spend money from, that is one that has been used for these kind of things in the past. That kind of fits within the scope of what we'll be doing.
So I think through our business today, if that sounds reasonable to the commission, probably having a motion and vote specific to that, our willingness to use that foundation would be great, and also incorporating the idea of pursuing and accepting the funds, the $10,000 from America 250 as startup funds. If anybody would be willing to
So moved.
make a second, a motion and a second from Judge James and Dr. Ware, and so any discussion on that? It's certainly open to discussion. Just the idea that.
I think that we need to appreciate you for offering to do this, because there's a burden there to be the administrator of that. So thank you for offering that.
And I would say that the Heritage Foundation does have its own board. Alder Anthony is the chairman of that. Secretary Hurst, who used to be the head of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism, is a secretary. But anyway, we spoke with former Secretary Hurst, and of course they have to run it by their board and get that approved by their board. But we don't anticipate any issues with that. But there is a willingness to do that. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Seems like a good start. All right, any other discussion associated? All right, if that's the case, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No those, then that motion moves forward. And so we'll kind of work through that process and keep you up to date along the way for that specifically. And then kind of one of the last things that we've sort of alluded to a little bit is the Arkansas Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism resources that we have available to us. We're just excited about the department, and I mentioned earlier about how well this program, presentation, or event, or all the things that we're going to, educational components, promotion opportunities, just align well with our department. We're so fortunate to have parks, heritage, and tourism all combined in one specific location. I haven't mentioned much about our tourism division specifically today, but the tourism division is responsible for promotion of the state, and we're fortunate to have that advertising and promotion budget there, and we look for opportunities that we can bring this commission in connection with the SPRTC, the State Park Recreation Travel Commission, as well as with the tourism division and our director of tourism, Delaney Thomas. Have her come in probably to our next meeting, and we are currently contracted in the department with two ad agencies, CJRW / MMGY on the promotion of our state, as well as MHP Team SI on the heritage side. And so we've got a lot of resources available to us to help with kind of the promotion side of this, or if we decide on developing a specific Arkansas logo or whatever it is that we look to create. We've got creative resources available to us, not to mention the staff available to that helps manage this, the resources of David Ware and the Arkansas Archives, this entire building behind us that from Main Street, Arkansas to the Arkansas Arts Council to Historic Preservation Program. What am I leaving out here, Marty?
Arkansas Natural Heritage.
Natural Heritage Commission, state parks, as well as the Old State House, Historic Arkansas Museum, Mosaic Templars Museum Cultural Center, and the Delta Cultural Center as well. So I feel like we've got just really good alignment in that. And speaking with the governor about this commission initially and kind of the creation of it, she saw that as well, is that the department resources here can be a great resource, especially with the creative energy and ideas behind this committee as well. So it's one of those things that I feel like we've got we'll have some great momentum right off the bat with this, because 2 years is going to go by quickly for that. So.
And I would just say, just an example, like, we have the Old State House Museum just down the road, the Historic Arkansas Museum, and they all have what we call temporary exhibits. They're exhibits that'll last for 6 months. They come down and something else comes up. And I've asked each of the museums to kind of hold, the first 6 months of 2026. So if we want to do an exhibit at these museums that coincides with some kind of celebration or recognition or that kind of thing, they all have unique items that are stored in the museum archives, and of course David has plenty as well. So anyway, this is an example of how this can all tie together as a part of that as we begin the planning and thinking about these kind of things.
Exactly right. So yeah, it was interesting that in some of those, just talking about what this might mean, is that some of our museums were already thinking about it and already had outlined some ideas or had it penciled in for their plans of events and activities as they're thinking, 2 years in advance on that too. So, but I feel like if we had a great exhibit opening at the Old State House Museum, this commission could come alongside and we could help with the opening and just make a great event for that. I feel like a big part of what our opportunities are here are related to awareness and education. So, just making Arkansans aware that this is taking place, and to the Colonel's statements earlier, just, what a great country that we live in, and what a amazing state that we have around us here, and what makes, our state unique and special, and how it connects to American history and heritage is an opportunity there. So we're excited about this, and We also, I'll say from the kind of the department standpoint as well, is that a lot of our department will be looking for direction from this commission too, or ideas about specifically what we want to accomplish, and then they can help us fulfill that as well. So it's a pretty cool thing. And so one of the last things kind of under just general business for the commission specifically was one of the ideas that we thought we should take on pretty quickly is that if everybody agrees or we could consider moving forward with a logo specifically. Elaine has done some research, and I know Dr. Ware has as well, or seen some of the others. But many of the states out there have already created logos, and I'll just pass this around so everybody can kind of take a
I
look.
can put it on the screen.
Oh, you got it on the screen, so great. And so everybody can kind of take a look at some of these. And what we would probably do is if everybody agrees that we need a logo, collect some ideas or components of this, just have a discussion here today about components of what we might like to see in a logo, and we can take that back to one of our ad agencies and start that way at our next meeting. We can have some options to look at and kind of discuss through, because as I said just a moment ago, one of our key aspects of this is kind of the branding of this and the awareness of this is taking place, and we can start with that now in that. And so you can kind of see some of these up here, Wisconsin and Colorado and Massachusetts, and I don't know, I'll open the floor for discussion. Yeah. Later, please.
I'll mention that several states are adapting or incorporating the American 250 logo in their own advertising, either as part of their own logo or something that balances it out. The American 250 logo was designed by the same team of artists who, back for the bicentennial, created that memorable red, white, and blue white star.
Gotcha. And one thing that will come along with the seed money from National American 250 is permission to use that logo as well that was up there previously, kind of the red, white, and blue ribbon logo. So we'll have opportunities to be able to use that as well. So,
I like the ones that you can more quickly identify the state. There are a few that, like the Massachusetts, for example, I don't know, I'm sure they readily, but I don't know. So something, I mean, Indiana, I don't like the look of it, but I do like that you quickly know, say, maybe even if it's just using the outline of our state, which is, or Colorado and South Dakota.
I agree with that, South Dakota. I mean, on the bigger question, I think it's important that we have our own logo just for state pride and Arkansas branding and people recognizing that this is a Arkansas event or we're co-branding with something. So I think first question, I think it's important we have a state logo. And then secondly, what you said, that it's, I love the ones that's got the state incorporated where you can readily identify that. I'll leave it to the more creative writer ones.
yeah, there's definitely a theme across these that you see, red, white, and blue, which you would expect. Except for South Dakota, they kind of took a different perspective out there as well. But it suits, their state. They have such a well-branded script of South Dakota too that that they use that, and why everybody recognizes that as their font or whatever out there.
Yeah, she was right. The first two you see or I saw was Colorado, South Dakota, that. Maybe a silhouette of Arkansas. Unique things about it.
Yeah.
Definitely get that in there.
So when we think about unique things about the state of Arkansas, does anything come to mind? Or?
Diamonds at first.
We actually have gotten a diamond from Murfreesboro from a client, and our jeweler, along with Governor, have worked with Bill and myself, and we're making a piece that she'll be able to wear. And it's very interesting. We've got our own diamond mine here in Arkansas, and that's something to be super proud of.
It is. That's cool. Yeah, that's one of the first things that always pops
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Is there a secondary thing that pops to mind?
I have to say.
Natural state. Buffalo River.
No, yeah. Thank you, Val.
I think if whichever marketing agency makes us like 5 or 6 different logos of different parts of Arkansas that are recognizable, I think that would be good. Just so whenever we do start brand awareness, it's obvious this is the state of Arkansas.
Agreed.
We can certainly do that. And again, like even what Marty said, let, you know, the creative teams kind of work on this, and it's what they do. But I'm just thinking about guidance that we can give them. Do we like the red, white, and blue color palette? Do we want to do we like ribbons? Like you see Ohio's up in the upper left-hand corner there, or
You can get these things too cluttered,
Yeah.
but I like them not to look completely plain,
Yeah.
but to tell a quick story. And I kind of like the word freedom.
I don't love, I think it's Pennsylvania's, it kind of looks like a presidential campaign, you know?
Our life as well.
Yeah.
And San Diego's,
Mm.
there's so much in the background, it almost takes away from it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Looks like pine trees.
Well, I was saying the same thing about New Jersey, it just looks kind of cluttered.
It does.
On the flip side of that, Massachusetts to me is way too plain.
It's right.
I know there's a flag back in there, but you really have to
Too dark.
find it.
You know, it'd be interesting if the agencies, if we gave them some broad, I mean, I would like to see some examples like South Dakota, that's something unique to Arkansas, but maybe it's not red, white, and blue, but then also some samples that incorporate the red, white, and blue, so we can have a variety of things to look at.
okay.
If you have to look at something too long, then it's probably not effective.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder about Connecticut, because obviously the C is, in the upper right-hand corner there, is, I don't know if that's a C that they use on a regular basis in Connecticut or something, but it must be some connection there to make that, but, yeah.
Well, and also, along your lines, one of them looks like somebody says a campaign, 2026 is going to be an election year in Arkansas, so we certainly want to avoid that.
Yeah.
So it stands out for what,
Well, yeah, there'll be plenty of bumper stickers out there that
Yeah.
looks that way.
Austin.
yeah.
So, and then like with Indiana, just to pick them apart, I guess, I'm a little bit conflicted as to the story they're trying to tell. Are they trying to tell us that Indiana is short S-I-N? Or are they trying to just tell us that Indiana is in America? Or are we in the country?
I was trying to figure out what that design is. Is that a torch?
It's a freedom of
Yeah.
one of their state symbols.
Yeah.
One of their state symbols.
They probably know what it is.
Yeah.
Probably do, so. Okay, well, we'll try to take all this into consideration and we'll figure out which agency we'll work with on this and come back to our next meeting with some options for you to look at and we'll give them some feedback and see if they can even attend and hear the feedback firsthand to get us to move forward with some of this. So, I don't know, I don't think we need an action item on that specifically. But to Marty's point earlier on, I think everybody agrees that having a logo or some branding is a key part of this as well too, so for sure. All right, well, I see our lunches have arrived, it is just about noon anyways, Ms. Elaine, so how do we want to do lunch? Do we want to just take a pause for a few minutes and then pick back up in 15 minutes and kind of working lunch, or what do you, any thoughts on
Taking
that?
a quick little break, that might be
Take a
good.
little break, and then we'll kind of keep back up, and we'll start back with Dr. Ware's report, and then get into some more discussion. So,
That's it. I told you that.
Well, when I was Wichita State, one semester, I used to classes.
have the Zoom option, can we still have an in-person option to accompany?
We can. One of the things that we have found is that it's often challenging when you have a in-person and a Zoom at the same time, because just technology and the ability to hear well and things like that. And so I just say that, not to say it couldn't be done, but there are challenges associated. I don't know if you've ever been a part of those meetings where a group is together and you're trying to hear, and you can't hear everything, or you're not sure if you can chime in at a certain time or whatever. We have kind of been trying to either meet fully on Zoom or meet fully in person the best we can. Even sometimes a phone works better than Zoom for parts of that. But we're certainly open to whatever the commission wants to do.
How easy is it for everybody to travel? I mean, it's easy for me, but Fayetteville's a little bit further, where Bentonville or Texarkana. I mean, I'm easy if we do it on Zoom. I'll just go to his office.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, there are a lot of folks that are obviously from all different parts of the state here. I think there might be value in us having a meeting in communities too, just to invite the communities in and let them be a part of this discussion as well, whether that's Jonesboro or Fayetteville or Bentonville or, out there.
I was thinking, I'll bring this up. If we want to bubble this out to the community level, you've got all sorts of local museums out there to bring into this picture and see what they can offer at breakfast table. So maybe that community out in the state.
Well, and also if you think about, of course, the biggest celebration is going to be July 4th of 2026. And so many communities already have an existing fireworks, or Little Rock has a huge fireworks. So if we want to look at some kind of co-branding with some of those events and seeing what we can do to, be a partner in that, or it'd be good to be in some of these communities occasionally and hear what their plans are, even if they haven't started thinking about 2026, is if they have a regular reoccurring event that day that, because I don't know, to me it doesn't make a lot of sense to, you got a huge fireworks event here in Little Rock that we do something totally separate from that on the 4th of 2026. So I think it's good to hear what they do and what their plans are.
If we do travel, one thing the commission will probably want to entertain is the idea of a stipend, just to cover vehicle or fuel expenses to travel if we decide to travel at some of these meetings. Just
There's a set standard state rate for all of that.
That's right. I think there's, to Mari's point, if we identify that one location is going to be an emphasis or a key part of Arkansas history that we want to focus on, meeting at that location might be a good thing to do as well. Or even if we know we want to host something at the old State House, just meeting there is not a bad thing to do here in Little Rock.
I like that.
I think initially, and maybe we can pick this up, just for us getting to know each other and working together, meeting face to face is probably good. That's just my thought on it, but as I see a lot of nods in that. Even just having lunch today was purposeful, so we can just kind of visit with each other and get to know each other and get reacquainted with something. But I think that's going to be a big part of us working together. So how often what are thoughts on how often we should meet initially? And by initially, I'll say kind of the rest of this year, the rest of this calendar year. David, you got thoughts?
Based on my experience with two other commissions, we do quarterly meetings, but on the other hand, they're not planning programs. Monthly meetings might be too frequent, quarterly meetings are too long, so semi-monthly. split the difference.
I think, yeah, that's not a bad recommendation to me at all.
Always change your mind.
Well, that's right, that's exactly right. I think, meeting again next month, even though today's the 26th, but I think meeting initially again pretty quickly is not a bad thing, and then maybe start a rotation like that, since we're just kind of getting on our feet a little bit here, so. Mayor, you have a thought, or kind of look like you were up on, Mayor, I thought you.
I'm sorry.
I thought you had a thought or something.
No, yeah, you'll figure out too, I'm almost deaf. I've got a hearing aid or head and I lost one, so you just have to bellow at me. So. But I do like meeting, early on, just kind of getting, here's what, here's our goal, here's what we want to talk about, here's our ideas, and also kind of our overall, are we shooting for the bicentennial or whatever, the Arkansas or USA 250?
Yeah, I think we're.
That day, the 4th, is going to do something before that, or?
Yeah, I think, I think, July 4th, 2026 is the big target. And then, and David's gonna tell us a little more about some other things that are kind of go along with that in a minute, but that's ultimately kind of the big event or the big idea out there.
I think if we want decentralize this, we're gonna need time to do that, so we need to front load a lot of meetings here so that we can start dispersing out to our local communities later on. So for right now, we need to be pretty intense on the meetings.
I agree, Mr. Chairman, with exactly that same thought. I think that it is going to be incumbent for us to meet on a more regular basis, possibly monthly for several months, in order to get our footing and our grounding of where we're going, and then also giving us time to look into our companies in Arkansas that could be our partners as well, like Arkansas Flag and Band, that I would think of, and coordinating with the cities and the counties and getting their idea after we secure our logo about banners to go on the light poles and how we're going to have our funding in place and make this a unified state drive to the end mission of 2026.
Is there, notice we have several federal properties that are integral to our history. And do we have any means of outreach to those entities, like Arkansas Post and places of that nature?
That's down outside of Gillette where my mother-in-law's from. That cabin now was where my husband's great-grandfather grew up or lived, or they moved it there. It's very interesting.
This is the one at the State Museum?
This is one at the Arkansas Post down Gillette.
Right.
Well, yes.
The State Museum?
Yes.
It used to be the county museum.
Now it's.
That beautiful dog trot cabin?
Yes, that's it. That's where, Appalachian Fair.
I was just down there a few weeks ago.
It's wonderful. We love it.
Mhm.
But yes, I think we've got partnerships. We work closely with the National Park Service and in lots of other ways. But that's what I think the goal, if we do meet at a few locations, if we identify Arkansas Post as one of the key locations. I mean, it is it's a key place with Davidsonville.
It's where Louisiana was born. As I remind the Louisiana delegation.
So things like that, bringing those in, or just inviting them to a meeting too.
Yeah, historic Washington State Park, I think, is some history there.
And we do have Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, so I can start talking, I know they've got exhibits planned further than this, but they could probably incorporate something.
That's right. Even just American or Arkansas artists in their collection already, just a special exhibit already would be great up there too.
I know we circled the wagons, but what did we decide on the meetings?
So I think what I'm primarily hearing is that we'll be for sure in August, maybe September. and then in person, and we'll avoid Zoom for now. And are there any days or weeks that that just do not work well? I know for us, the third, well, you know, Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday, we have kind of the standing meetings already. I know David has some of those on. So those days we have to avoid. But Elaine, what are some other, are there any other times that we have to avoid just for standing meetings?
You will be out the 19th through the 23rd. So it knocks out that week.
So we'll try to either get out a poll or something.
The 29th is a good day.
Johnny Cash dedication is the 24th.
That's September though.
Oh, that's right, it's September.
So we'll try to get out some proposed dates or something like that and continue meeting. But if there's a date or time that's not good for anyone, you can just let Elaine know, and we'll try to avoid those. If you have something that's always on a certain thing now, that's standing, and we'll try to figure out, maybe stay centralized this next one again, or unless someone wanted to host us or something like that.
We'd be happy to host in Northeast Arkansas, in our honey lodge, world class, be free.
Very world class for sure.
It's a fun place,
That's
and
it.
it's plenty of meeting area, and we have PowerPoint.
A good location too. So.
Well, I was thinking the various county judges would be good source to figure out where to host in various counties or municipalities out there. And also because they're buying in their ownership, so.
Well, you mentioned earlier, we got the Arkansas State House just down the street that we can host you there, or host a meeting there. It's the oldest standing state capitol building west of the Mississippi.
So far.
So far, yeah. We'll try to keep it standing.
We might be able to work on the governor's mansion or something like that too for an opportunity as well.
For sure.
So especially.
Just let us know.
This is completely the wrong time to even say this, but have you seen what day the calendar day for week July 4th, 2026 falls?
That's a good question. I've not looked at
It's a
that.
Saturday.
It is a Saturday.
It is a
Perfect.
Saturday. Couldn't be better.
Perfect. Even better. Even better. So we'll go. Okay. Well, I think we've got enough to keep us moving forward there on that, and we'll plan that. We'll get something out soon and try to get dates. As far as I think if we were going to have a Northeast Arkansas meeting or a Northwest or something or a Southwest, I think for us, just getting it on the calendar and being able to plan accordingly ahead of time just makes all the difference. I know my calendar I kind of live by it every day and see what's happening. And so that's, I know many of y'all are the same way as well when it's taking place. So we'll work on that. And I guarantee that Commissioner Haig from Texarkana would love to have us in Texarkana or Southwest or Historic Washington or something like that.
Oh, wait, I'm glad you said that. I'm about to fall down on my duties. I spoke to Ms. Haig on the phone because she wasn't feeling well, couldn't come up, but I did talk on the phone and ask if she had any ideas that she wanted to be considered, and she had one idea that she asked that I bring up. So I'm glad you said that. It totally slipped my mind. She suggested that we potentially look at some kind of 250 years of Arkansas in a video that could be shown at state parks and other places to commemorate the significant points in Arkansas's history. So I told her that I would relay her idea to the committee. So.
And I mentioned the 29th, but that's the UAPB Razorback game, so that might not be.
That'd be a tough one, yeah, for that day. So.
As far as our statewide meetings, we could look at it through like a congressional district, making sure that we went to all 4 districts. That's something sure that spread out a lot.
That's right. I think, being purposeful
Yeah.
throughout the state
And having a plan,
is a
yeah.
good thing. Okay, well, very good. I think that's helpful discussion there. So, all right, let's turn it over to Dr. David Ware to tell us about his meeting that he attended on our behalf.
Okay. First off, I'll apologize for working from notes because otherwise I go off into the weeds at every opportunity. I recently headed east in early July to my hometown, Washington, D.C., to attend the first in-person national convening of the America 250 Commission. Yes, D.C. in July. Who comes up with these ideas? This brought together representatives or observers at least from some 46 states and territories. So at this point, from what I can tell, all 50 states and territories have either named commissions, formed commissions, or at least have, or their governors have indicated that they will form commissions. So we're not the last. The idea of this national convening, previous ones have been done via Zoom, was to basically allow each other to get to know each other and get acquainted to see how far along our respective states are in terms of planning and implementation, and to let us get acquainted with the operating staff and programs of the American 250 Commission. Now, we had a wide variety of speakers, opportunities for representatives from the states and the territories to introduce themselves and to give a brief rundown of how their plans were progressing. What is the America 250 Commission? This is shorthand for the United States Semiquincentennial Commission. This is a congressionally appointed body in charge of promoting and coordinating the United States semiquincentennial. America 250. I haven't had enough coffee today. It was first formed in 2016. As determined by its organic law, the Secretary of the Interior held a competitive application process to find a nonprofit partner that would serve as the administrative secretariat, the accent for the commission. In 2018, what was then known as the Civil War Battlefield Trust, now known as the American Battlefield Trust, was chosen to be a kind of a partner to handle the things that government appointees wouldn't have to handle. Over the years, the commission has gone through some evolution. It has attracted wide bipartisan support in Congress. It has its own congressional caucus, the Congressional America 250 Caucus, acting as a liaison between the commission and Congress. It's gone through some changes in makeup and some public relations hiccups, including a highly publicized, at least on the East Coast, spat between competing factions. One Philadelphia-centered faction wanted to be the lead dogs of the commission. There was another one centered in Washington, my hometown, wins out. Yes. In late 2020, it was temporarily superseded by the presidentially created 1776 Commission. That commission was disbanded in January 2021, and the America 250 Commission resumed its work. The commission has been chaired by former Treasurer of the United States, Rosie Rios, since July of 2022. She was on the commission from the beginning. She's in charge now. Now, what does America 250 do? Have any of you visited their website or spent any? Okay, you're prepared. You could do this part, please. I'll take it much better from you. Okay, the America 250 Commission, its mission is to promote and coordinate state and local level programs and activities through a national digital platform that is collecting information from the states, getting that information out there, helping the states publicize their efforts, sell to the largest possible audience. One of their programs is what's called America's Request for Partners. That sounds awfully polite, but what it is they're creating essentially a funding meeting place, kind of like the rotunda in the Capitol, where the public is supposed to meet the legislators. The America's Request for Partners is essentially a directory in which foundations and other entities that have funds that they would like to put into commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence can meet up with partners, with states, with counties, with local programs, nonprofit programs that need funds to in fact gin up their local commemorations. This will go live sometime in late 2024. It will allow programs and commissions like ours to ask for support, essentially helping us make our pitch to corporations and other donors, making connections. Think of it as the financial rotunda. The National 250 Commission also has a number of what they call tentpole programs. This is the first time I've heard the term. It makes perfect sense. Like putting up a circus tent, somebody's going to notice it. The coolest of these is already in motion. It's called America's Field Trip. Have any of you heard of this? Yeah. Okay. This is a nationwide scholastic competition, a contest encouraging students to reflect in words, in images, on what America means to them. Thousands of students from across the country this spring submitted entries responding to a single prompt: what does America mean to you? This spring was a pilot program. It was announced late. However, the word got out to teachers and to parents across the country. This is a contest. You don't simply get your submission put into the Library of Congress. Instead, there was money and fun riding on doing a good job. A panel of current and former educators selected 150 students from across the country as awardees, hailing from 44 states and territories, 75 first-place winners, 75 runners-up, including one from West Memphis. So we're on the map with this one. For the pilot test, 25 first-place awardees from each grade level category received free travel and lodging for a 3-day, 2-night trip to a select historical or cultural site where they would have experiences, basically getting to meet the people who run these sites, see how they operate. Touring and hiking at Yellowstone National Park up in Wyoming and Montana, spending a weekend with the rangers at Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, behind-the-scenes tours, getting to know the curators and archivists, the National Archives and the Library of Congress in D.C., behind-the-scenes tours, think night at the museum, at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, National Museum of African American History, the National Museum of Natural History in D.C., exploring the financial heart of America, Wall Street, the Mellon Bank. All right, behind-the-scenes tour at the Mellon Bank. Well, for high schoolers, I can see they can make sense of this. Also visiting the Federal Reserve Bank and Museum, finding out how the financial system of the nation works. Visiting the USS Constitution in Boston Harbor, a sunset cruise out to Spectacle Island, visiting other National Park Service associated sites and heritage sites in the Boston area. These were for these first place winners. The second place winners each received a $500 cash reward. $500, it's not good at college scholarship, but it's not chump change, especially if you're a junior high school kid. The teacher associated with the top scoring student submissions at each grade level received a $1,000 cash reward. This program will continue over the next 2 years, ginning up for a full year launch beginning in September of this year. Material is going out to schools across the country, encouraging them to get the students to submit entries. Another tentpole program, America's Story, also known as Our American Story. This is a massive oral and visual storytelling project aimed at collecting and preserving American stories from across the country. In this program, individuals or groups nominate a living person, a friend, a family member, a community member, whose story they think needs to be shared and preserved. There's a nomination form on the America 250 website, and you put that in, and a committee evaluates and says, sure. It can be someone in one's life whose story resonates with you, inspires you, maybe isn't widely known, someone who's made a real difference in your community, somebody who's marshaled volunteer efforts, a political leader, a visionary county executive. None of those in Arkansas, right? Select stories from each region of the country will be recorded, shared for everyone to enjoy, archived at the Library of Congress. This is a collaboration with the Library of Congress's long-running StoryCorps program. And it is underwritten by Walmart to the tune of $500,000. Walmart has gone in big for America 250. This goes hand in hand with another similarly named initiative, America's Stories. Essentially, individuals contributing everything from letters to videos. They're self-nominating. They're telling their own stories, submitting them to the America 250 committee. There's material on their website on how to submit one's own presentation. I have not gone too far down this one because, folks, I've got a day job too. A third tentpole program, America Gives. This is a multi-year effort focused on charitable giving and volunteer service and public service, which includes military service. Through this effort, America 250 will create what they call a legacy of service beyond 2026. Pardon me if I repeat some of their promotional language. This is supported by America 250's founding sponsor, again, Walmart. The idea is to build 2026 into the year in which there is more community service, volunteer service, hours put in service of communities across the country than ever before, and then to figure out how to keep the spirit of volunteerism going. It is linked to the 9/11 observance, Patriots Day, and also Martin Luther King Day, 2 days of national service. It's promoting charitable giving, small donations to service organizations across the country. Its sponsors, as I say, are Walmart, also the Points of Light Foundation, carrying on the legacy of President George Herbert Walker Bush, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, the Blue Star Families. Pilot program begins in September 2024. There is a toolkit available for commissions to help publicize this program. January 2025, we see the first real push in connection with MLK Day. There are other tentpole programs that are less well developed. We went into them briefly in the meeting, but they basically said, look at our website for more details. The details aren't there yet, but they're coming, I'm sure. Websites are works in progress, after all. There's America's Culture, which is a nationwide program showcasing American art forms, creative expressions, cultural touchstones, increasing access to and awareness of the arts in America. I'm sure Crystal Bridges already has this one on speed dial. America Innovates, a traveling technological display that will highlight, that will interpret America's greatest technological innovations, possibilities for the future, asking the next generation of creators what innovations they want to create that will be critical for the next 250 years. A traveling exhibit, not quite exactly the Freedom Train, but it could turn into something close. America Waves. Yes, we're talking everybody on July 4th, 2026, waving American flags. This may sound silly, but it's not if it works. The Time Capsule, a collaboration involving all 50 states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia, collecting items for a time capsule to be buried in Philadelphia on July 4th, 2026, as well as across the country, July 4th activities in 2026. There'll be, of course, a huge national celebration in Washington, D.C. There will be, of course, celebrations across the country. The trick is to tie in awareness of the 250th anniversary to these celebrations that are already in place, as well as ones which we will hopefully spur in communities across the state. Now, the meeting was a little bit light in terms of the licensing agreement, basically the partnership agreements between the American 250 Commission and the state level committees and commissions. Apparently, in the early years of this program, there were a lot more restrictions placed on what you might do, what you might say if you were to be listed as a partner with America 250. I think they saw the error of their ways. Instead of being restrictive and prescriptive, The America 250 Commission has become much more of a big tent, open door. Come on, let's see what you got. Let's see how we can help you publicize it, help you find some funds for it program. I was very impressed by this. And talking with some of my other delegates, neighbors to one side and the other, they marked on the sea change in the America 250 Commission's focus. Ms. Rios said that the goal was to make the entire America 250 program as local as possible, because top-down programs can only go so far. To build buy-in at every level for an observance of the American birthday. My takeaways, I can give you a whole lot more details. I'm afraid that I beset Marty and Shay with a boiled-down version of my notes, and let's say they were 2 legal pads full. You got the high points, that's honest and true. My takeaways from the conference. 1, very few states are as far along in actually putting programs together as they would like to be or should be. Even the ones that started talking 250 in 2017, 2018, a lot of them have been still doing what committees do best, circling around like a flat slinky. They're getting there. But so we're not as far behind as we might be. Second, as I say, the America 250 Commission knows that getting buy-in, getting participation from local, county level, state level entities is crucial to making this work. 3, they understand their strongest role can be as a clearinghouse for sharing information, calendars, bringing ideas together for each other to steal if necessary. Pardon me, to learn from. 4, funding is needed. Several states have local grant programs in place, others have paid staff doing the coordination. This is especially true in the coastal states known collectively as the OG-13. Some states have budgets, allocations from the legislature of up to $7 million. We don't have quite that much, do we? Hey, we got 10,000, that's a good start. One thing that I was told by many of my neighbors in the room, partnership with organizations like the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Sons of the American Revolution, the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, are crucial because these organizations, they're already doing their America 250 plan. Make use of what they can bring to the table, as well as service and civic groups, also state humanities councils. Case in point, Arkansas Humanities Council in the spring of 2026, for a period of about 6 months, is bringing a massive new Smithsonian traveling exhibition to the state. I know this because I ran into Ann Clements from the Humanities Council at the airport coming back. Because when I was in D.C. for this, she was in D.C. for training at the Smithsonian. This is an exhibit highlighting Native Americans and American culture. The exhibit is simply called Americans. They are arranging sites around the state for the first half of 2026. This is a cool potential tie-in. It's a seriously complex and rich exhibit. And it's something that definitely belongs here in 2026. All of these civic organizations can act as multipliers of any effect that we can have. Also, civics and history, social studies teachers in the K-12 systems, these are sponsors of History Day, both teams and individual efforts. History Day topics for the next couple of years have been chosen to, in fact, be very compatible with the America 250 program. So, anybody who's doing History Day, they're our friends. And also not to forget homeschooling co-ops. Several states' delegations talked about how they have been reaching out already to the homeschoolers groups around their states. One great partner, the American Association for State and Local History. They have made available resources that can help any organization, any community get started in their planning. They have 2 booklets available online. In fact, I was going to simply put up a slide, but now heavily in paper. We have, people so I know what I said. They have two books, the Making History at 250, the Field Guide to the Semi-Quincentennial, and the 250th Anniversary Program Handbook. Both of these provide inspiration. The Program Handbook provides low-cost program examples that any organization or community can use. They've done the work. They've made it available for us to work from. Take a look at their offerings. These books are available online. Okay. So, money. Again, Maryland, I would point out, one of the original states, is just getting started. They, when the conference began, they had very little money. They were pushing in their program 3 efforts you could get bang with relatively little bucks: history, civics, and service. Nice and simple. Since the conference, they have in fact been confirmed that they are getting a grant from their legislature. They intend to start a small grant fund this fall. They have $250,000 in their fiscal year 25 state budget. The legislature designated that half of that money be for grants to communities. They added $100,000 in fiscal year 24 carryover funds, so the total small grant program is $225,000. Small grants, $2,500. These can fund programs. As I know from working with the Black History Commission Sites Grant Program, these provide seed money for cool activities, cool installations, markers, public programming. It doesn't take much to be a Kickstarter for a program. So, small money, big returns. Now, on the other hand, my cousins in North Dakota, $7.5 million. Or one could say North Dakota, not many people, lots of space. You got travel. The Kentucky Commission has just been awarded $4.68 million to be used over the next 2 years. $250,000 of that has been reserved for a grant program. Scope varies considerably, but again, having some money to help communities get things started is crucial. Also crucial, dedicated working websites, providing ways for communities to actually link into the 250 Commission at the state level. And finally, from the conference, there were several great speakers. The chairman of the National Council of American Indians spoke. There were representatives of various organizations, including the Girl Scouts and the YMCA, who gave great presentations, but perhaps the most insightful one was a brief one by Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, whose topic was about leveraging government and tourism and how the 250 observance can help promote the states. But she said there are 3 buckets, she called them, government tourism buckets, if you will. One bucket is experiences. What we can provide through programs, through historic sites, through experiences, things that grab people. Experiences need promotion, yes? Second bucket, marketing promotion. To do this, you can't do it all with social media. You need fundraising, you need money. And fundraising, money, to raise that money, you've got to have experiences to promote. You've got to have a reason for that money to be spent. So, experiences, marketing, fundraising, these 3 buckets support one another and will help support, she said, our state's respective bicentennial, or pardon me, America 250 efforts. So, there's a lot more I could burden you with, but I will be generous and merciful and be quiet. And if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer briefly. Now or afterwards.
I'll just give you an add-in while you were speaking. I looked it up. American Legion is reporting Arkansas does not have a commission established, does not have a point of contact on the internet.
Mhm.
So that speaks to what you were talking about. There are various entities like that would like to get involved and believe if we give them a place to talk to. So that may be one of the things we need to.
Well, in addition to the AASLH publications I linked to there, I have also given addresses for a number of states 250 commissions websites, just so you can take a look at them. Get a feel for what they're doing. What states are programming, various considerably sort of relatively simple. One of my favorites, at any rate, is a program being done out in Utah on July 5th, 2026. After the fireworks, after the fizz and fun, they are promoting a statewide block party. The idea is that we celebrate the nation. Now let's actually spend some time with each other. And they'll be promoting this vigorously through their website, coordinating these efforts from communities throughout Utah. One of the things, as I say, a number of delegates suggested they got the website up. It gave people some place to go to find more information. Some of the websites aren't updated as often as they probably should be. Some of them are semi-dead, but at least it's a starting point. At least there's some contact address there.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to work.
Mr. Chairman, it seems to me that we're going to have a need for subcommittees to be able to divide and conquer, because this is huge. And I think it might be wise if we did, almost like we do at church, a time and talent survey of who might have necessary talent to interact with our media partners on website design, input, how we're going to coordinate with social media throughout. Those that I know Sherry and I both have relationships with Carlton Safa at Sarah's, and where we might have some really good contacts, but coordinating our companies here in Arkansas that we can merchandise like with T-shirts or whatever it is that we need to get started. I don't know if that needs to be in the form of a motion, but at least a thought for consideration to move things along a little bit more quickly.
I think so too. I think that's a good recommendation. I do like the idea of kind of breaking it into experiences, marketing, promotion. I would add maybe education and service, because I feel like those are two other groups, but kind of having in 4 manageable groups or 3 manageable groups that we see as priorities just makes it easier for us to kind of keep up with it too. So.
Well, also, I think we might want to look at, you mentioned Walmart's giving $500,000 in national organizations. We got plenty of state corporations we could seek sponsorship from. So a committee or a group that can seek sponsorships from corporations.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see why they wouldn't do it just for Arkansas as well.
Can we revisit what's going to be our thinking? What are we trying to accomplish? Do we want to push freedom, patriotism, community cohesion? Because I'm kind of thinking to go to the next meeting, I'd like to have a theme to brainstorm around and focus on. So I think let's find us a theme of what we want to push here, and then we can build the rest from there. Because I'm getting all the brainstorm of ideas here and go different directions, and I just need some guidance on where we want to go here.
In some ways, the coastal states, the OGs, they have it easy.
Yeah.
They were there at the beginning.
Exactly.
it's easy to gin up something that goes back to the American Revolution. Yeah.
Mhm.
But for the, once you get past the Alleghenies, it's a little harder. But at the same time, you're not limited by the revolutionary connections.
Correct.
And that several of the delegations spoke to that. How they're using this as a way to remind both outstaters and citizens of their states of the resources and the wonders, the rich heritage that's grown up in their own state, whether they became a state in the 1780s or the 1890s.
See, one of the things that struck me is we could go with the different ethnic groups and how they landed here and what they've developed here, like Camden and South Arkansas. There's a niche of Judaism in Camden, Arkansas. That kind of thing. So how do we want to dress that? Do we want to dress like I was telling Ebony? There's a community right outside where I live, or grew up, that was established by, it was the Veterans Benefit for Veterans of 1812. That's how that community happened. I mean, I see Arkansas as a place where people came scrambling, trying to press the frontier. They had nothing, tried to make something. Do we want that to be the theme? Do we want these disparate groups and how they landed here to be the theme? We just need to kind of focus our target.
I think at our next meeting, we've got some talented folks on our team here that could probably facilitate a discussion to help us craft a theme, and especially if we come back to the next meeting after what David is recommending, review what the other states are doing, kind of take a look at that, get that knowledge base in our minds, and then kind of come back and ready for a discussion on that. I think we've got some folks that could help facilitate that discussion to help us land on a theme. We could also do your recommendation of time and talents, kind of a survey of what interest areas there are out there, especially if we try to land in these 3 or 4, whatever categories of what we want to accomplish out there.
What was the other company? I know Cranford Johnson, but there was an acronym. What was the
Langdon Holcomb Partners
Oh, okay.
is the one that Heritage uses for
Okay.
public relations.
I just didn't know the acronym.
Yeah, MHP, TSI.
Gotcha. Okay.
Both here. So.
He referenced several grants. Has our state done anything so far to push for scholarships that we could give to lower-income communities that just don't have any celebrations that we could piggyback off of? And
We have a program within Heritage that are called Heritage Grants, and we have provided some money, I think, I'm trying to remember if it's $2,500 or $5,000 to communities that there's several things you can qualify for, but is it Cane Hill is up in your area? They have a festival. I know we've given money to their festival. So there is an existing grant program that's been used. Now, that's not to say there can't be done something separately that's more centralized around this. But there's a model in place that we do that.
So I think, there's an opportunity for that too. We can, if we have an idea of what this group's trying to accomplish, we can shape some department resource grants that we have available towards that focus and emphasis out there. I think also if we want to try to get a donation from a Walmart or something like that, going to them specifically with a request that we want to use that for a grant or a process would be a good reason to have something behind what the request is for. As we come to, David, what were some of, you saw that many of the states did have sponsors though, you were seeing that, or just corporate sponsors, or?
These corporate sponsors that we talk about were mainly currently supporting the National Commission.
Okay, the overall.
The idea is the America's request for funding is meant to be the meeting place between the state and local folks with programs and corporations, foundations with money that they would like to put into this. It's created acknowledging the fact that some of us don't know who to ask. Some of us are sort of ashamed to ask for as much as we want. The idea is to make it a little bit easier to break it down.
But with that in mind, one of the things we need to be aware of is fiscal budgets for companies, that we need to get our ass in place and ready to go so we can be included in their budgeting going forward. And most companies have like an October date, so we have enough time to
That's right, it usually is October. It is.
get our thoughts together.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, and also the recognition they get for that. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's, an events, their brand is out there or what it may be, to recognize and appreciate their contribution.
Be sure they're aware of our 501c3. It's tax deduction.
That's
That's paramount.
I think there's some easy opportunities that David mentioned, like the time capsule. I mean, that's something we can certainly do, and that's a big promotion opportunity, whatever we want to come up with. But communities across, let's say we wanted to do some, that every community sent in whatever it is and include that in our time capsule. And that's a cool part that's going to go into you said Library of Congress, that's kind of a good just promotion, education opportunity, or it could involve schools. The other one is the Humanities Council exhibit. If we can align with them, and they've already got this exhibit that's coming from the Smithsonian, and we can promote that across the communities, that's some easy things that we can join in with and add to our list.
Get on a group like this, it's like, I'm sitting there thinking when I walked in, what's the thesis statement, what's our theme? And like Colonel said, let's try to decide on something. And we have to tie in what the Nationals doing, so when that day comes, here's Arkansas, and what do we offer the country, or our theme? We're the land of opportunity, then the natural state, and I'm talking to people, like your dad goes to Tilly, or these little towns, Van Buren County, it's a little town called Allred. Don't have a school anymore. Scotland's on the school board in Scotland, and they've got to come to Clinton, Allred. But they're still communities, and I like that whole theme of the underdog. And I think one of you said you cross the Mississippi or whatever. We're in the interior and just trying to scratch out a living. Well, that still goes on in Arkansas, and that ain't a bad thing, because you got some pretty big businesses out of that. Pretty good success stories. That's the American dream. And whatever we do, I'd like to try to include smaller communities in counties. I don't know where Allred is. Somebody named a town in between Quitman and Mount Vernon. I thought I knew where every place was. But whatever we do, if we can include little communities like that, they have a story to tell too. And that shows that theme of we're not on the coast, and but there's still a lot to offer. It is an opportunity here, and I like that idea of just getting a theme kind of going, what we want to do. It may change, it may come back in a month. Nothing else, that gives me something to think about. I've not looked at any of these sites, but I will. And I think whatever we add to it, I like that theme of the little towns like New Edinburgh or Imboden, or, it's like, people go.
See, I was thinking too, okay, 250, it's gonna be a pretty big deal to Arkansas National Park also. There should be some synergy there between us and the Guard, because it's their birthday. It's the birthday of the Army, July 4th. So we should be talking to them. You want to do communities? How about community parades with National Guard marching, things of that nature? There are things to go. And that's your small community too. Most of those troopers are from.
Yeah, that's a great, no one gets left out.
Exactly.
I think that we really should go back and focus on an overall, so to speak, acknowledgement maybe to the natural state. And the reason I say it, and I'm going back through my text, there was a great article highlighting Arkansas as really becoming the #1 adventure state. And that also speaks back to all of the Walmart initiatives that Valerie certainly has a lot of close connections in that area. But it is huge for our state. It is another arm of an economic driver. So while we're doing this and nodding to our history, I think too, there's something to look to the future and where we're going and hopefully linking the two thoughts together. But I'll find that site. I think my son actually, who works at Stevens, had something to do with this article. But it is absolutely wonderful. And thinking about how, we're becoming the new Colorado. Say that. But just because of the adventure activities, the bike trails, and where our state is moving in the next generation. So the natural state has, to me, a lot of appeal because we're not singling out any one thing, but we've been known as the natural state for a long time. So you can play on the natural state from activities, adventure, be it music, be it where we're going, and outdoor classroom situations, the game and fish commissions, any of these entities could be closely linked.
Yeah, I wasn't getting, I agree 100%. I mean, that family of mine that moved here from California, it's unbelievable. We got everything here, right here in Arkansas.
Yeah, and one of our original mottos was the land of opportunity, and I see that still today, but I love, of course, I love the natural state.
It's not contradictory to that, but yeah, it's absolutely, it's unbelievable. And every place you go, there's something neat to see.
Well, another thing to think about too, David mentioned, some of the eastern seaboard states, Massachusetts got the Boston Tea Party. We think about the Revolutionary War and the contributions to independence and all that, where we don't have that history, but we do have a lot of history that has contributed to who we are as Americans. I mean, this is home of Johnny Cash and Glenn Campbell, the whole genre of music, this is home, and we've given that to the nation. And whether there's business leaders like Sam Walton or sports leaders, Jerry Jones, or people in the Hall of Fame, we got a rich history and culture and individuals that we have given the nation as a state that it somehow can be woven into this.
I think I've got a couple actionable items out of that for kind of to really move us forward at our next meeting. Just before we, go a different direction, are there any just big ideas out there that anybody has, even without a theme, or just some initial thoughts that anybody has, or ideas like Commissioner Debbie Haig threw out the idea of just doing a video. I'd like to try. I like to just try to brainstorm just a little bit, just to while our brains are sort of fresh and we're not, out there, ideas. Because I like an idea of like that, of partnering with someone and producing a 30-minute show or something, or in a short form version of that. Someone earlier mentioned, I think it's about social media. We probably need to lock down some the key social media components. We can work on that.
Website domain.
I think they said, what I read in the 250 national stuff is that they've already locked up that each state has like America's 250 Arkansas, or they've kind of done some consistency on that. And that comes with our package in that grant. So, but any ideas? Let's just throw those topics out there.
Let's revisit the topic a little bit.
Okay.
Getting back to the thematic concept, I'm thinking if we could come up with a word, thematic word, I think it would be useful in our logo.
Okay.
Like I had scratched out like an Arkansas diamond with Arkansas 250, and then whatever we want our theme word to be underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
I think of things like
Arkansas is such a huge trucking state, and I could just envision all of the J.B. Hunts or
Awesome.
Tawny Town wrapped in our logo. I mean, because they're traveling all over the United States, and then we have such a great presence in intermodal transportation, as well, that we could expound upon that to have other people carrying the water, so to speak, for what our commission is trying to do.
Good thought, yeah, good thought.
That's a real good idea.
It can also be a
You all,
tagline, on a lot of other social media presence of, it could be, for example, if it was the WW Water Company, and then have our little logo underneath it to tag, just anything to get the word out on what we're doing here in Texas.
Well, I think Arkansas Tourism would get behind that.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a great partner with that. I also thought about involving the Arkansas Beautiful Commission as well, because certainly our state could do a big cleanup again. So we might be so inspired with this opportunity to go into all of our communities and look at our ordinances and see how that looks as far as a gigantic cleanup to celebrate beautiful America.
Keep Arkansas Beautiful is a program under Arkansas State Parks, so they would, Mackenzie would love to partner with us.
That's a great thing. And then to your point about the music themes, a couple of years ago, we engaged Waylon Holyfield, who wrote Arkansas You Run Deep in Me, which is such a great original piece of music, and it addresses kind of that whole natural state thing. And he lives in Nashville. He's become a friend, and I was saying to Shay, interestingly enough, he's huge internationally, although a lot of people in Arkansas aren't even aware of him. But I'd love to see us incorporate more of our music too, so we've got a common thing, maybe several pieces, but use one as our main focus to connect the dots for what we're trying to do.
I like the idea of the video. There's a lot of opportunity for video in like 30-second spots. If there was a way to incorporate Arkansas 250 at the gas station pumps, because they run those spots there. The airports run spots.
That would be good to advertise.
Local TV stations around the state.
Local stations will usually do PSA spots. And movie theaters usually will run spots. So there's a lot of opportunity for video. So if we use like TMSI or CJW, we could do a quick like 90 or 30-second spot. And then we can run on local radio too, which would be great.
I'd love to, one of David's points was capture some Arkansas stories somehow through this, whether it's, getting some firsthand accounts from Jim Walton about Sam Walton and some of his, memories of that and, the role that Walmart's played in America, or, there's a lot of Arkansas stories, or John L. Hunt, or just some of, the history of our state. There's just lots of opportunities to do some neat social aspects to that too. Get some key folks involved in helping the messaging of this, and what America and what Arkansas means to them.
Valerie's from Smackover, and there's so much great oil history down there, and the impact that that's had on our nation as well as our state.
Timber in the field.
Well, and if we go with the natural state, there's the natural resources that our state offers, and stories to tell there too. I keep thinking, just kind of keep the brainstorming going here, just something at the old state house. It just, it just speaks to, sort of kind of those cool moments where, Governor Sanders or whoever is, on the steps, talking about, the celebration of our country.
One, I'm sorry.
I have one fear here. You don't talk about the people some, bring the people into the picture. The going strictly natural state, natural wonders, you'll get a certain amount of buy-in. But there's a lot of people that don't have the time or the discretion to go do this or go do that. They're worried about their kids and they're worried about they might get that weekend off. And we need to get the people buying in by telling some of their story, not just the people at the top of the pile, but people at the bottom of the pile. We need them to buy into our program. I just feel like they don't get hurt that much. And a lot more doing wondrous things out there. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get buy-in from them.
Well, it's on a Saturday.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, if you get something on the day of, it's free.
mhm,
You know, like your military freedom isn't free,
mhm.
but on that day, 250 years old, it's like someone up there tried to have the world's biggest potluck or something
Yeah.
like that. And that's pretty popular there, Clinton. And just that theme of it don't cost you anything. And
Right.
it's a day of celebration to sit back and know what you really have. I mean, we've got it as good as anybody on the planet by far. I mean, not even close. And
I mean,
that's one thing, and I think it's used that they come across, they're trying to scratch out 11, not that they're dead, but some of them made it better than anybody that we know in modern history. You know, Wallace did okay, you know, the story, and Big, you know, a lot of them. But that whole theme of, I have a chance to, you know, to go all the way. And if you had something on that day, and then the other thing, when you're brainstorming, and I'll probably be the only one on this, I like the idea of something when it's all said and done, you have something that's there to see, you know, not like, you know, St. Louis Arch or whatever, but something, you know, you know, a central thing that may be something like, you know, the All State House is hard to beat, you know, so
mhm.
got a president there, he's standing, a lot of things happen there. But all through, and the music, there's just too many things going on. That's like the folk capital of the world, Mountain View, Arkansas. You know, John Bryan would go over and just live for 2 weeks and nobody even knew it. And a lot of Glenn Campbell down there, you know, on that corner, and Johnny Cash, and
Or Hemingway,
Billy C. Riley, just a lot of people.
I mean, you had,
But the idea, don't forget, it's hard to get everything in one deal. I don't even know what direction we're going, but I do like that theme of, some people just need a day off.
yeah.
And if that was, we're gonna have a day off.
Mhm.
You know, we might, if I'm still around and not been shot, you know, maybe take off Friday too, get everybody off in the city and just have July the 3rd and 4th. You know, maybe do that. Let's have a long weekend, somebody that never gets one.
Yeah,
Well, and I think to your point, certainly the state parks, you know, offer so much to
Mhm.
all of our citizens as well as all the nature centers throughout the state. And I think there are a lot of opportunities that are there that are free and are available, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about them, that we can make sure that maybe they do. That could be
Yeah.
part of this platform to educate not only for this special time that we're celebrating, but beyond that, it has a longer shelf life.
or like courthouse, picnics on the courthouse grounds,
Sure.
town square, baseball games. I mean, what's more American than baseball?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a great,
To your
great
point
thing.
on that, wouldn't it be be fun to have a patch made for all the little baseball players through the
Yeah.
summer league, and have little uniforms to commemorate the.
I mean,
We had
just,
Girl Scout badges in 1976.
Yeah,
just to separate
That would be
fun
people.
to put on their little uniforms.
That's a great idea. You know, counties have players, people from that county know them, nobody else knows them. And each county could say, well, Lloyd Bonds or Kenton Test, you know, and, you know, like, some of these little communities know, so-and-so that was never known. That'd be a good way to tell those stories too, and kind of throw that in some heading.
I like
Every
it.
little town has, oh, he was the greatest sidearm pitcher of all time that never made it or
I
whatever.
know a guy that was, well, minor league with Nolan Ryan,
Yeah.
but he got drafted to Vietnam versus going to major leagues. So, I mean, you've got, those are the kind of people that, I'm thinking we're developing a theme of just celebrating people, celebrating ourselves, and telling ourselves where we came from and why. Because Arkansas, let's face it, gets belittled in national media a lot. We played to that with the hillbilly culture, and we played to it with this and that. But in reality, there was nothing wrong with our culture. We just played to the big dogs to get their money back in the day, Plum and Abner and that kind of stuff. I think we need to celebrate who we've become. We're still standing after all these years. And whatever we can do to feed that. I think patriotism's got to play there, freedom's got to play there. I mean, my ancestors came here in like 1817, just pushing the boundaries. Basically because they didn't have anything in Tennessee or North Carolina, they lost to them. That's what we need to celebrate. I don't know.
Oh, I was just gonna add, maybe the same patch theory, we could maybe have our firefighters or our county road crews or our policemen or, you know, whatever, have a little commemorative patch as well for a while. At least you're making more people that are in a position of being a decision maker be able to have an impact and have more soldiers working to our purpose than just defining it to one group, that we're covering all economic areas and being socially inclusive.
So with the logo, that can also be a patch.
Something that could be developed that way too, have some flexibility
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
But I feel like, and this kind of hits on that as well, is that there's this service opportunity or service component to this as well, whether that's volunteerism through Keep Arkansas Beautiful or, you know, service to the state or service to our nation, you know, through armed forces or, but I'd also, David had told us that one of the concepts is that 2026 will be the national year of service. Is that the phrase, David?
Yes.
And there's going to be a big push behind that, is look for opportunities that Arkansans can give back to the state or serve, or but also support those that serve too, whether that's the officers or firemen, or and try to help that too. So.
I think it might behoove us to contact all the secretaries of the different departments and enlist their help, because there's a lot of good foot soldiers there to get the word out.
Yeah, definitely education for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much of what the America's 250 is doing that's going to be, that they're going to need help or want to know the Arkansas, you know, version of that.
So maybe someone from your staff could handle that coordination of all the secretaries. Get that going.
I think education's got to be,
It's key.
got to be a push here, so. you probably know this, there's a requirement for high school students.
Community service requirement.
How many hours they have to do or something?
I saw an email today that says, I'm not on the commission, but just, I saw an email today that said 75 hours for high school. So
It's
for
substantial.
9th through 12th, they have 75 hours
If we could
total.
come up with partners that provide those opportunities, you know, I imagine there are parents that are right now wondering, what is my child going to do these 75 hours on? And we could give them opportunities that align with this. And
We
Are
have
you getting
spots
calls?
at the food bank, yeah.
Have you?
It just has filled up, I think, through the end of the year,
Okay.
for Saturdays.
Yeah.
For
And
Saturdays.
it's just all high school students.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So-
really, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's so if we could align some opportunities like that.
Well, like, okay, back to the baseball, American League tournament in baseball, those kind of run together. So you've got, we need to bring in, we've got plenty of organizations that are implied partners here. The CAR, American Legion, VFW.
Well, that travel ball, American Legion kind of went, but it's kind of making a comeback. That'd be
Yeah.
good for that, and those travel ball teams would do that too, I
Yeah,
think.
I
The
think
ones
they
in
would, too.
Arkansas, Falls and Stripes,
Mhm.
Steve Landers Jr., he's got some, and
Like maybe an open tournament, open classification tournament, that kind of thing. Just kind of exhibition games. So I mean, there's plenty of implies here. We just can get ourselves together to go out and find them.
I have a book I'll bring next, y'all probably have it, the Arkansas. And that book they put out a few years ago, and they talked about different people, and they have them pictured and what they've done in the state. I don't know, I have that in my office, I'll bring that for y'all to see. And I'm also in the DAR, and my mom's big DAR ladybug, and had to send a picture after this, I got selected, so they would probably like to be involved.
Why is the efficacy of bringing in the media into partnership with this? Shane?
you need another piece of paper?
I'm trying to capture these ideas, so I wanted us just to take some time and see, just see what kind of comes from the group, where we can put some emphasis.
So you're bringing in a media into the partnership,
What?
bringing the media into the partnership.
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
To boil it all down and consolidate it, well, what's kind of hitting me is something like naturally rich.
Mhm.
Because we are in a natural state, but we're rich in everything, really, that we don't even, we take for granted. We're rich in musical talent, we're rich in opportunities, we're rich in diamonds, rich in volunteerism, we're rich with educational opportunities.
We've got good soil.
We do have good
Look at
stuff.
how we do it.
We gotta remember, because I know we're really brainstorming and giving it the buckshot approach, which is great, that's the way good ideas develop. But is this all to come together July 4th, 2026? Is that what we're planning? One big party?
And no one's mentioned that yet. Yeah,
But, I mean, is that really the whole focus of it?
no one has mentioned that yet. I had that, is that a goal to have like a big event or not? I feel like a lot of what we're talking about is more of a long-term effort and kind of for the year or the year leading up to it and kind of ongoing celebration. But I don't know, it was mentioned earlier that all the communities have their 4th of July celebrations. Maybe there's a way that those connected, or maybe it does end up 4th of July at the Old State House and with fireworks going off behind the Old State House, or, that's a possibility too, so.
I think the desire to not detract from the traditional 4th of July 50 gives the communities is why our colleagues in Utah went from the idea of the July 5th block party. It's Sunday, the day when hopefully you don't have to be at work, and spend time with your neighbors. They take a deep breath after the big deal the day before.
I like the idea of the picnic on the courthouse grounds. You know, that if each county could, excuse me, commit to that idea of, you know, that maybe on the 5th of July or something like that. Not a bad idea, just
Barbecue Sunday in Arkansas.
just something kind of a unique thing like that too. Because the 2026 will be all year, so it'll be going all year, so even beyond the 4th. I don't know, are there thoughts on a big event, on the event itself?
I love the idea of the scene, but I just think you start moving all these little communities and people that can't travel.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to have opportunities that are close to them, and they don't have to spend money, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
enjoy this celebration. And so in my mind, when this came up, I envisioned most of our work being trying to help them get something close to them so they can, you know,
Yeah, I like it being at the county level.
County
the state
courthouse is
level.
great.
I think every community, whether they're a city, town, county, whatever, or just a community of people out on a mountain somewhere, yeah, we should try to include them. But on the other hand, I think it would be a big disservice to Arkansas if we didn't plan a big corporate party as well. We have events all over Arkansas,
I think,
but one big headline major attraction as well, whether it be on the 4th or the 5th or whatever.
oh yeah, I think it'd be noticed if you didn't do
Yeah.
a big event.
Any other ideas? I know we're kind of getting close to the time where we posted as ending, but I think what I've heard here, and I think I can kind of go back and digest this down into kind of some actionable items for us at our next meeting, and but also kind of accomplish what we're trying to with some of the branding and responsibilities of our team. But it's pretty exciting to think about. So excited to work with y'all, and I think there's a big opportunity for us here. Any other thoughts out there? Any other? I'm not sure.
So what our brainstorming benefit, what are we going to accomplish next meeting?
So the couple things that I have is, first of all, a logo discussion, a theme discussion. I think those kind of go hand in hand, sort of the logo branding theme discussion. We can facilitate that with one of our partners or some of our staff here. Part of our communications team might even be able to facilitate that for us to help arrive at that, giving us some keywords or some discussion points to help us refine that. I really like the idea about the time and talents, and trying to understand our team here specifically and what interest areas that everybody have, and or connections to what they would want to be connected to, and we can try to figure out how that might work. And the other part is sort of refine this into the two or the four things that I've kind of marked here: experiences, marketing, promotion, education, service, and then we could list what we have under here as ideas and kind of maybe go through and do some sort of vote on what we think are the most opportunities, maybe how those fit into 4 committees or something like that as well. Seems like to me, does anybody else have any other ideas on how that might come together, or ideas of something we need to accomplish at the next meeting?
Do you have any charge for us to come back to the next meeting?
I think if you could go through the websites, we can email this out to that David's produced, and that way you can just click on the links. And I think reviewing what the other states are doing will give us some additional ideas to kind of fall under those categories. And then we can try to get some prioritization out there of what we want to try to go after first. And I don't know, any other ideas from y'all on that?
Do you want us to talk to people about it? I mean, start talking and looking for sponsorships or people that have an opportunity to get grants or whatever?
I think it just seems a little maybe early for that just yet. I would rather, this is just me, make sure we have kind of a plan of what we're asking for, a packet, a proposal, or that way we're organized in our approach in those requests.
About the logo, you'll let the in-house or whatever the professionals do that.
That's right.
And
Come
you'll
back.
come back and say, hey, we've got these 6 or 8.
That's right, and just brainstorm together, and they can walk us through that branding discussion.
They're good at that.
They do that all the time.
That's what they do for a living.
Can we go ahead and set the date for the next meeting?
Elaine, do you think you have a date in mind there?
Well, the first question would be where?
I think
Are we
maybe
gonna
centralized
keep it
here, either here or Old State House, or maybe the governor's mansion if we could pull that off.
Weswick's or the Old State House.
And it may be it might be within a couple weeks too.
Yeah, is August 7th too soon, or the 9th?
That depends on like our media teams, whether or not they can pull together some logo options quick
That'd be
enough
kind of
for us,
fast.
but
Yeah.
The 13th?
that's
That's
probably,
the day before commission.
that's probably reasonable.
So is that a possible Zoom? I'm gonna be in Memphis or, not that I matter, but
You said- But it's,
Yeah, I won't be available on the 13th.
What was your conflict?
we're gonna be in Memphis. We have
On the day.
on the
the
13th,
13th, it's,
but I can Zoom. We have a speaker coming to our school. We're going on Monday.
is the 13th looking pretty good for everybody else, best you can tell?
Yeah, 13's good for me.
I have to actually. I don't keep my account.
That's their commission.
That's that,
Oh,
15th, that's,
Yeah.
15th is.
And then you're out the 19th and the 23rd, correct?
Well, he's out the 15th to the 23rd.
I know, I have vacation planned.
So do I.
It's been on the books for over 8 years.
What about the 26th? It's a Monday, 27th, Tuesday.
I think we could make the 26th
Yeah.
work if it's the morning.
Yeah, looks like we could, looks like the 26th. How does that work?
I'm good.
Good deal.
Have a
Is
meeting
that
at
26?
night.
See a lot of-
Is that good for you?
Tanya, how's that look for you?
Does that work for
Is
you?
that look pretty good? Okay,
Pretty good.
let's hold that date.
We're gonna
Time
stick
in the
with,
morning? Yeah.
do you want to do 10
Yeah.
or 11?
I'll look at Bentonville and Jonesboro.
Yeah, it's 10 too early.
Is 10 too early?
For-
Yeah, so that would be.
That's fine with me.
It's fine.
It's no earlier.
I was thinking the night before.
Yeah, come on.
That's right. Okay.
10.
Okay, let's
It'll be a
tentatively
little-
hold that date. We'll hold it here. Here in a little while.
10 o'clock.
Like 10 to 2, something like that, yeah, because it might take a little bit longer sort of thing, so, or at least 10 to 1, so. Well, that was easier than. To get us a date, so. And then what we probably should look ahead to is even September, we can send out a poll or something on that, try to pick a date in September.
So August 26th, this room is available.
Okay, let's hold that, just in case, yeah. And we can also check at the Old
Say
State
10
House,
o'clock.
or just for,
Yes.
it's a little easier to park here than it is at the Old State
Oh,
House.
sorry.
At Muswick's?
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Look forward to working with you all, and I think we're going to work well together, and accomplish some great things for the state of Arkansas. So thank you very much. I'll say we are adjourned.
We need a motion to adjourn.